Welcome. This is the Late Late Show with BT. Reviews with security and law are being provided to you, the public. This is a special show. During the season, it's Monday through Friday. But because of our unofficial last show of the season, which will be on Monday, we included two shows for Saturday and Sunday. And tried to do a viewing marathon to kind of close what we started this season, but that just didn't work out. After about the first 30 or 40 minutes, it felt just kind of time to stop. So it is a special show, so things are going to be a little different. Yesterday's show we included Asada because I had suggested that it be picked up, bought, reviewed, since we had incorporated it as a mainstay in the show. So we went over that yesterday. So that was kind of, it had a lot of legality and legal perspective in it, because it is reviews with security and law. So there's a lot of law perspective in that one, specific case-specific information. So this time, our views with security and law for this special is going to kind of be the wellness, the health, the fitness. I did a few things from it. It's called BOOBS. And I felt that since today our viewing is going to be Nurse Jackie, that BOOBS will be appropriate. So I'm going to see how we do this. So it's called BOOBS. Oh, I have a straw today, but I still have the booth 5 cents. I forgot what the booth says. Psychiatric help, talk to me, 5 cents. And I'm still going to use the recording that we used last time, except, of course, it has a different, the flow has a different perspective. So some of it might be live. In terms of, the Late Late Show with BT's version. So, let's begin. Boobs. Or both. We began to sense that a special purpose beyond our disease had brought us together. That purpose took shape in the form of a book, one that would give you, the reader, a front row seat into the lives, minds, and bodies where breast cancer created both visible and invisible scars. The rise of the feminist movement in the 1960s and 70s was instrumental in promoting breast cancer activism, and a new breed of survivors began to emerge. In 1979, a woman named Dina Metzger took a warrior pose against breast cancer when she allowed herself to be photographed, bearing her mastectomy scar, which was covered with a tattoo of a tree. We 10 women belong to this new breed of survivors, which When one of the women in this book declared herself not dying of cancer but living with it, her take on the disease gave us new insight and even humor in order to better cope. We began to spread our wings, speaking to special interest groups and ethnic group gatherings, mentoring newly diagnosed patients, becoming patient advocates, helping to raise money for breast cancer organizations, and becoming board members of survivor support groups. We were too busy to die. Instead, we chose to help redefine the future for women, one without breast cancer. We offer our stories to enlighten, encourage, and empower those of you who are about to get to know the bunch of outrageous breast cancer survivors, also known as BOOBS. Boobs. Along with a strong faith, Beverly feels blessed to have a close-knit family and looks forward to seeing them often, in spite of the fact that they live all over the country. If breast cancer struck only men, there would be a cure. Tuesday, September 11, 2001 appeared to be just an ordinary day, familiar, normal, and unexceptional. For many, it was the beginning of the countdown to the weekend. But I had important plans and a full agenda for that day. I was going to be trained and certified on the automatic external defibrillator, or AED, a device that has been used successfully to save the lives of many passengers who had experienced sudden cardiac arrest. I was excited about receiving AED training because it would prepare me to be a guardian angel at 35,000 feet. It would also give prospective passengers a further sense of well-being and security about flying because they would know that if they experienced a heart attack or heart failure, flight attendants could not only administer CPR as we have done for years, but were also now qualified to use the AED. I was having trouble processing this information. Just moments earlier, I was contemplating how many lives I might save with my knowledge and operation of the AED. And now, was this some sort of terrible mistake or sick joke? And that both towers were burning out of control. Then came the news of the Pentagon plane crash and the fourth plane that blew up in a Pennsylvania field. And it was all too obvious that these disasters were part of a well-organized terrorist plot on American soil involving 400 states or United States commercial aircraft. As soon as I had finished talking to Roland, the disbelief and sickening horror of what had happened began to sink in, and I became numb and devoid of all strength and power. Fear of the unknown began to slowly creep in and permeate my entire being. Since last year's results were fine, I considered it to be just another routine exam. I was quite certain that everything was going to be fine. I still did not have any reason to believe something was seriously wrong. When I finally was able to speak directly to my gynecologist, he said, "Mrs. Flowers, we need to have you come into the office to discuss your mammogram. And if possible, you need to bring your husband with you. There's an area in your left breast that needs to be examined by a surgeon." He also asked me if I had experienced any lumps or pain in my left breast. He recommended biopsy and an ultrasound of my left breast and asked to have the results sent to him as soon as possible. At this point, I was on a mission to find the best breast surgeon in the area. I returned home feeling relieved, knowing the biopsy was over, and now all I had to do was wait for the results. As I waited in the flight attendant's lounge before boarding my flight, I was told I had a phone call. By the time the receptionist returned to the phone and said, "The doctor would be right with you," my heart was beating so hard I felt as if it were trying to leap out of my chest. A gel is placed on the surface of the breast to make it slippery, and a transducer is moved over the breast, sending waves through it to determine the characteristics of a lump. I boarded the Boeing 747 with excitement and anticipation. Being at the bottom of the seniority list, I realized that I will be awarded the last and least desirable position on this flight, E-Zone, the smoking section. I began to set up the galley located in the rear of the aircraft. The passengers appeared anxious to have their cocktails and dinner as soon as possible. After setting up the beverage cart, I was overwhelmed by the odor of cigarette smoke. I just could not or did not want to believe this was happening to me. And of all times for this to be happening to me. "Beverly, you won't believe this, but the early results were misread. There was a terrible mix-up and you're just fine." There were 2 cancerous lesions in my left breast, positioned in 2 different locations, 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock. In the meantime, I had to prepare myself to tell him something that I knew would change both our lives. What did the doctor say about the biopsy? He asked immediately. Sitting across from my doctor, I began to fire questions at her about my diagnosis. Did I need to have a lumpectomy, a procedure that involves removing the lump from the breast followed by radiation treatments? The doctor explained to me that because I had cancer in 2 separate areas of my breast, she recommended a mastectomy instead of a lumpectomy followed by reconstruction. I was very impressed by the plastic surgeon's genuine desire to make sure I was informed and felt comfortable about having reconstruction. He told us that in order to create the new breast, he will use excess abdominal tissue to rebuild the breast mound. Then find the best plastic surgeon in the area. For me, it was a tremendous boost in my self-esteem and general well-being, mentally and physically. I have been truly blessed. I vividly remember watching a PBS documentary many years ago in which a woman who had undergone a bilateral mastectomy chose not to have reconstruction. Even back then, as I watched the documentary, I remember thinking that I would not be comfortable having a mastectomy without reconstruction. And of course, 2 perfect breasts when I wore my favorite bathing suit. Through prayer, education, and wisdom, I came to a revelation that brought me both peace and understanding. Breast enlargements, breast reductions, breast implants, here a breast, there a breast, everywhere a breast. I am always overjoyed to be in the company of my small but close-knit family. The golden brown turkey, succulent cornbread dressing, freshly picked collard greens, yellow squash, candy yam, cranberry sauce, and of course, the handmade sweet potato pies and the always delicious sour cream and butter pound cake. As we boarded the plane, I realized this was the first time in my life that I really did not want to face my beloved mother, the woman who had always been my trusted friend, constant companion, mentor, and spiritual counselor. As Roland and I fastened our seatbelts for takeoff, I asked God to give me the strength to face my mom with integrity and solicit her love, support, and wisdom in the coming battle. I knelt so comfortably on the bed and said as simply as I could, Mom, I have breast cancer. We went Christmas shopping. I didn't want my recovery period to interfere with buying and wrapping presents, and we were still expecting my brother and his family to visit us in Atlanta during the holidays. Roland and I purchased a 7-foot majestic Canadian fir tree and spent several days, that is, decorating it with beautiful ornaments and carefully arranging all the gifts under it. I was determined that breast cancer would not alter my lifestyle. The time had finally arrived for me to begin my journey. I told him that I was going to win this battle and not to worry. My husband, like so many men, was taught to be the strong one in the face of danger and the unknown. Unfortunately, Roland knew something about both, and he did not like what he knew. So we're probably not going to get to the viewing marathon because I'm feeling kind of tight already. Um, uh, I also knew he would be in my corner for the biggest fight of my life. First of all, there was God. Then my husband, my mother, the spirit of my late beloved father, my brother, my sister-in-law, my wonderful nieces, my aunts, my cousins, and my close friends. My medical support team served their fighter admirably, from the Georgia Cancer Specialist Group to the Atlanta Plastic Surgery Group to the Breast Care Specialist Group. At this time, I still did not have the results of my pathology report, which would tell me whether or not the cancer was contained, that is, just in the left breast. When I finally woke up after several hours in recovery, I was brought back to my room, a bit groggy but awake, thank God. I had so much to be thankful for and was pleased to see my mom, husband, and cousins Stan and Cheryl waiting there for me. My husband assured me that the breast looked beautiful and I still had cleavage. Having reconstructive surgery was right for me. I knew when I walked into the hospital for surgery that I would leave with both my breasts. I also knew how pleased I would to have a flat stomach. How pleased I would be to have a flat stomach. Soon I would be up and about again and back to normal. It was the best news I could have received. I was determined to make this Christmas holiday the best one ever, despite my cancer. As a patient, it was so difficult to believe that these powerful drugs and all their side effects were actually going to help me. I did not want to hear that I had to be sick again in order to be well again. The chemotherapy room had about 20 lounge chairs, and I was happily surprised to see other patients who appeared to be coping quite well. I was so glad to be able to do it, not only to save myself the 1 hour drive to the office, but also because I felt more comfortable administering my own injection. Finally, the blood count increased, and I was able to begin my second cycle of chemotherapy. Although I know that for some women the hair loss is traumatic, I believe the key to coping is to remember that it's a temporary side effect, and after the last treatment, it begins to grow back. It was definitely at this point in my treatment that extreme fatigue, both mental and physical, set in. I was so fatigued that I spent most of my time either sitting in the bedroom or in bed, resting and reading. One of the things I said on camera was that breast cancer is not a death sentence. Did I say death? They had been there to answer my questions, to hold my hand if needed. During one of my numerous trips to Northside Hospital, I was approached in a woman's place, the boutique in the lobby of the Women's Center that specializes in clothing, gifts, and books for women with breast cancer, by Barbara Roby, a social worker. We went to Starbucks together and discussed the TV show, and then Barbara asked me if I would be interested in joining a breast cancer support group. Our monthly meetings held at the wellness community have been the best support system anyone could hope for. In October 2000, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I attended my first Walk for the Cure with other members of the Network of Hope. Of course, you emerge a different person. Any life-threatening experience changes your experience, changes your perspective on life, and reorganizes your priorities. But the greatest thing it does is to make you a stronger individual. It was to be a weekend event with a formal cocktail party scheduled for Saturday night. I knew that what I wore to this party had to be the perfect outfit. This would be the first time since my surgery that I would date to go braless and show cleavage. Just before she turned to walk away, she said, "You still have those big, beautiful breasts." If she only knew that she was looking at my $30,000 breasts, we would never be the same. Was my plan going to be the next one used as a weapon of mass destruction? There were also the personal sadness. A co-worker was now mourning the death of her brother. Did I say death? Who was killed on the 91st floor of Tower 1 on the World Trade Center. The economic impact of 9/11 was also beginning to take its toll. Our flight attendant workforce has been reduced by 20%, which led to many of my coworkers, some personal friends, being furloughed indefinitely. Today, everyone I work with is concerned about being next on the furlough list. Our sense of job security has been tragically taken from us. Many of my coworkers have yet to return to work. It has been too overwhelming for them. Ironically, I was already emotionally and psychologically in a survival mode as a result of my battle fought and won with breast cancer. I believe it gave me the mental fortitude to better deal with the events of 9/11, but there are changes and reminders that are hard to deal with. Anyone who appears to be of Arab or Middle Eastern descent is immediately subjected to stares of prejudice and mistrust. The latter was a day filled with a very different kind of terrorists, but one I think we Americans have the courage and strength to fight and ultimately win. I'm exhausted, you guys. It's been an interesting day, and I think I'm gonna call it. I think we're gonna close it. Um, so we still have one more show, and that's gonna be for the 29th. So right now, this special weekend special has especially stopped at about 20 minutes. So this has been a Late Late Show, BT. Bye.